Biden, the DNC is protecting him. They are saying, hey, we're not going to have the Democrat debates. RFK Jr., who you heard on this program last week, up to 19 or 20% support, which is a sign of how weak Biden's support is in the Democrat Party. But now Trump has come out and said, hey, the first RNC debate, I believe, on Fox News in August, Trump has now come out and said, nobody really consulted with me. I don't know that I'll debate either. They're trying to protect Biden, clearly, the DNC. Buck, I don't blame Trump if he's going to be up. In the most recent polls, he's up, 30, 35, 40 points on his next closest rival. It looks like Tim Scott's going to announce on May 22nd. DeSantis may announce also in this next couple of weeks. If you were Trump and you had a 30 or 40 point lead, would you debate? I wouldn't, because I think that elevates his contenders, and I don't think he has that much to gain if he's truly that much of a favorite.
Well, it's certainly, it's certainly possible, I think, for him to make that case, and I can understand why he would. And I would also just put in there, I don't think that debates really matter all that much in terms of how the election really goes one way or the other. I think it's very rare. I can point to, and anyone who disagrees or doesn't remember this, go check it out. Mitt Romney absolutely, believe it or not, I know this sounds crazy. Mitt Romney destroyed Barack Obama in the first debate they had. I mean, an absolute, as bad of a butt kicking as, short of like a Fetterman situation, but as bad of a butt kicking as you would see on a debate stage. And now there are two other debates, to be fair, and there was the Candy Crowley moment with, he did call them terrorists and whatever, and but didn't budge anybody, it seemed, for Mitt Romney when all said and done. Now maybe that was just a Mitt Obama situation and not transferable to general politics, but I feel like it's really hard to see. But I guess people would say on the other side of it, when you have elections that are as tight as some of these presidential elections have been, even if you're talking about swaying 30,000 people, 40,000, which when you have a debate audience of millions and millions, maybe that could make a difference, at least theoretically. But I generally think debates are a little bit overplayed. But I think that I like them. We like them in the media. We want to know. I think that people have a right to demand this. But in a general, it's, it would come down as you're too scared to debate, I think. But I do believe Biden might try this. If Trump refuses to debate in the primary, Biden's going to refuse to debate Trump. Because he's going to say, well, you didn't feel the need to debate, and I don't want to platform you, threat to democracy, man,
Yeah, now, I would say Trump in 2016, I think the debates were massively important to him because it got him on the stage, and he had to go toe-to-toe with whatever it was, the 18 other people running. And I think that was must-see television. Was it Fox that had the first one, the Megyn Kelly controversy? I think all of that benefited Trump immensely. My thoughts, though, are if you're up 30 or 40, the number one rule when you're winning big is just ignore your opponent. You ever notice if you're in a big red state or a blue state, a lot of times they won't even name the person they're running against because it's like they've never gotten a glove on them. And why would you give them the attention of that naming? And so if I'm Trump, and I'm stunned, Buck, that he has pulled away as much as he has based on the numbers as we sit here in May. It's hard to know what the things will look like by July 4th, late July, things can change. But if the numbers are similar as they are today in August, I don't blame Trump strategically for saying, yeah, I'm not going to get on the stage. I got nothing to prove.
Could very well be how it all shakes out. Now, this is where the cliches start to rain down. Everybody, 6 months is a lifetime in politics, and all this stuff. I mean, they're cliches for a reason, though. It's true. We could be seeing. We mentioned earlier in the show. It's pretty remarkable, isn't it? Another bank failure. More bank failures than we've seen since 2008. A lot of people saying that a massive recession could be coming, but that's not the major news story in the country right now, right? That's not getting that much attention. I bring it up because that could very much change the feel and the battlefield of the election in profound ways.
We could be at war with China in the 2024 election, Buck. Like, if you're talking about crazy happenstance, would it blow your mind if China just said, screw it, Biden's a weakling, we're going to invade Taiwan sometime between now and 2024? It wouldn't surprise me at all.
It is amazing. Whenever I've asked somebody who studies that issue specifically and is a policy nerd on the issue of Taiwan, say, what would we do? You know what everyone kind of says? Clay?
Yeah.
We don't know.
And how scary is that?
We think it's strategic ambiguity to keep China on its back foot. There's also the ambiguity of, yeah, we're not really sure how we handle
Even
that.
scarier, who's going to make that decision in the Biden White House? It ain't Joe Biden. I mean, the guy can barely stand in front of a television monitor and read.
Commander Ron Klain, man, you put that guy out there, put some medals on his chest, you know, it's like the second coming of Napoleon.
He's not the chief of staff. And Susan Rice is gone. I mean, I honestly am terrified of, we effectively have a zombie president, right? Somebody who barely just kind of stumbles around, has no real idea what's going on. Zombie president is fine when the debate is, let's be honest, over whether we're going to raise the debt ceiling or not. Zombie president, the weekend at Bernie's presidency, is not good if suddenly China invades Taiwan and we don't even know. We got generals who are concerned about whether we're inclusive enough in our military. I read today in the Wall Street Journal that we're out of missiles. Like, somehow we haven't produced enough missiles because of all the stuff we've been giving Ukraine. Like, these seem to be significant flaws that would be arising in the event that China invaded Taiwan.
We have one facility that makes black powder, which is necessary, even though
that doesn't seem ideal to me,
No.
Buck. I'm not an expert in munitions,
awesome.
but that does not seem ideal.
No, especially because, you know, you're making an explosive, and when you're making an explosive, bad things can happen that could throw off, and have happened, by the way, at that facility. I think it was the Times, the Wall Street Journal, writing about this over the weekend. You need black powder because it's very easy to ignite, so it in the explosive train is part of the ignition for Tomahawk missiles, for really important, really expensive weaponry in the U.S. arsenal, and we've only got one place that makes them, and really their business is, a lot of it is hobbyists who make those rockets that you put in your backyard. You remember those? Did you ever do that? My dad was into that for a little while. I remember that.
I think, by the way, the Biden administration shot down a few of those hobby rockets.
Those rockets were a menace.
Remember how that story just vanished?
Disappeared.
Biden shut down 3 different unidentified flying objects. They were like, oh, we couldn't find them. And then these random people were like, yeah, we think it was our hobby plane.
Hobby
our hobby
balloons, right?
balloon.
Yeah. I mean, you know, those hobby balloons were asking for it, though. You know, they were talking smack about Joe, and Biden just wasn't going to have it anymore. So he blew those balloons out of the sky. But yeah, no, we have we would not be able to sustain on a variety of levels, a two-front war if we had to for any period of time. We wouldn't have the logistical ability to do it. We wouldn't have the personnel ability to do it right now. I mean, I think that's increasingly clear, and that's not a good place for the world's supposed only superpower to be in. But guys, don't worry about it. Biden's got the, you know, diversity and inclusion mantra going, and everything's going to be, that is our strength. Missiles for the military? No, that's not the strength.
I was laughing about this, sadly. Did you see they released new photos of Barack Obama's raid when they killed Osama bin Laden? I remember Biden advised against the raid. Biden advised against the raid that killed Osama bin Laden. He's wrong on everything. So we want him there when suddenly the phone rings and Taiwan's under assault?
You know, I think there's an ETF basically that trades, buys and sells stocks based on the opposite of what Jim Cramer from CNBC does. You know this? This is a real thing.
No.
So it's a real thing.
How
like,
are they doing? Really well?
You just go, I think it's doing pretty well. I don't quote me on that. I think it's doing pretty well, but it does whatever Jim Cramer tells you to buy, do the opposite of it.